Hey everybody, welcome back to Warhammer Demons. I thought I'd go in a different direction this time, trying to put a cap on everything that I've done so far. And I probably should have done this back at the beginning, but I don't know, I didn't really think it'd get this far, but here we are, and I want to talk about the history of demons in the Warhammer Fantasy Battle game. Unfortunately, there's a large chunk of that that's lost to me. It happened before I even got in the hobby, and that's Slaves to Darkness and Lost in the Dam. They're two hardcover books that bring up, that created the whole demons in Warhammer. There's a picture of them in the back of the Hordes of Chaos book, the Slaves to Darkness and the Lost and the Damned. Now, I've seen a picture of the books. I've never held them in my hands and thumbed through them or anything. I've always sort of had an interest looking at them on eBay, and it's crazy. It's like, do I put a new set of tires on the Jeep, or do I get these two books that I'm not really going to use for gaming? They're just going to sit up on a shelf, and I'll thumb through them every now and then. So obviously, you know which way to answer that question. So I can't really talk about those too much. I don't have any first-hand knowledge of them. I know that they brought chaos into the Warhammer game for both Fantasy and 40K. For a while, GW would make books like this Warhammer Siege book. The first part of it's all stuff for Warhammer Fantasy, and then you get to the back of the book, and then they've got the 40K section in it. So it's something along those lines. You introduce the four greater powers, that sort of thing. Come up with their the lesser demons, the greater demons, and then those guys have followed through till today. When I got involved, this is the book back in '94. This came out, the Chaos for 4th edition. This was actually a box set. It had some other things in it. I think it came with different spell cards that weren't in the Magic set, and it had this little deck of cards that you'd have to flip over, several at the beginning of each turn, and some of them could really hose you. I learned the hard way. You always need to have this sacrificial champion there, because if you get hit with the summon back to the powers of chaos and you only had one character out, you had to play it on a character, and it's him getting whisked off the battlefield. Yeah, you could lose your general first turn before you've rolled the die, unless you have some little meat shield characters to play it on instead. So what this book, though, was all the chaos stuff together. It had the Chaos Mortals, the Beastmen, and the Demons. Only 50% of your points value, they worked on percentages back then, could be spent on demons. So using this book, you could not take an entirely demon army. And the demons that followed different gods had animosity. If they got within 12 inches of each other, they could start fighting. They could, poof back to the warp. They could just stand there, do nothing. So they discouraged you from taking different aligned demons. So then they redid chaos stuff. And in 1997, they came out with the Realms of Chaos box set. And this was designed with 5th edition in mind, because 5th edition had been out for at least, I think, a year at this time. The box set, it had the same deck of cards where you'd flip over and random things would happen. They really toned that down, though. This introduced a concept. It was the only army to go at that. All the other ones were still using the percentages. This, you'd pick a warlord, and then you would pick a retinue or retinue for them. And the points of the lesser guys had to equal at least the warlord's cost. So you could field an all-demon army using this book. You'd pick a demon warlord, and then pick demons that equal to or greater than his points value. But you had to keep within each warlord retinue combination. They had to all have the same mark, or if you had an unaligned guy, you could mix them. Thing is, you still had to worry about the animosity. So if they got within 12 inches of each other, they could go poof or start fighting. But I don't know, it was fun. I enjoyed, really, in the Realms of Chaos, I started playing demons exclusively. With the other book, I had my token unit of Chaos Warriors and token unit of Beastmen and a couple other things, but I really liked collecting the demons and painting the demons, and this gave me an opportunity to field an all-demon army. So then 6th edition comes out, and 2000, we're up to now, we get the Ravening Hordes book, and it had an exclusive demon list in it. You could freely mix and match everything in your demon host section. They had support for all the different model types that were out. It was pretty cool, even though it was just a little get you by army list. Then in 2001, I know it's in the annual 2002 is when this came out, but it was compiled articles from 2001. They had a demon horde, which sort of revamped the list that was in the Ravening Hordes, gave you some more demonic gifts to take, that sort of thing, just kind of getting you ready for what was to come. So in 2002, they come out with the Hordes of Chaos. It was a pretty novel concept because it was followed up then with, it was the companion volume, came out later, the Beast of Chaos. And depending on what type of general you took, it would dictate what your core choices were. So using this book, it was possible to field an all demon army. However, there were a lot of, at least for me, some of the models that I had that were fully painted didn't make it into this book. Fiends of Slaanesh, not in here. The Beasts of Nurgle, not in here. Demonettes mounted on Steeds of Slaanesh, Seekers, not in here. So some of the things were taken away. And if you had, if you wanted to take a greater demon, they're obviously aligned with one of the gods. So the only other core choices, like if you take your Bloodthirster, everything had to be Khorne. Well, I had a great range of demons, but I didn't have 3 core units of Bloodletters to take, and they didn't used to make them in plastics, and the metal ones weren't really that cheap. So I didn't really play too much under this book. I kind of didn't like how it had changed things around. I just wanted to take my whole demon army and freely mix and match stuff in it, and I couldn't really do it with this. So I kind of lost interest in playing them. Then the 2004 Storm of Chaos gets released. In the Storm of Chaos book is a Demonic Legion list, and it builds off of, it has to be used in conjunction with the Hordes of Chaos book. It's not a true list in and of itself. It added some new units, so they started to replace. Hey look, they brought the mounted demonettes back. They brought in some chariots. They brought the Blood Crushers, Plague Riders, Pleasure Seekers, that sort of thing. But then you could mix and match the different kinds, but if you wanted to do that, your general had to be an unaligned Demon Prince. And it got really boring for me taking an unaligned Demon Prince. And not that you see me fielding greater demons all the time, but I'd like to be able to. I got a model that's fully painted. I'd like to be able to put it out there. So that brings us to this book. Sure, you might be familiar with it. 2008 Demons of Chaos book comes out, and it's almost like somebody at GW read my mind and brought out this book. I really like it. Obviously, I'm enthused about it. I've made a long series of videos just discussing the details of this book. This book brought me back into Warhammer Fantasy. I hadn't touched a model, hadn't played in a couple years, but I've kind of been at arm's length with the hobby. He's still following along, and I heard that this was coming out, so I pre-ordered it. Hadn't bought a product from GW in years. Got it, loved it, started getting the plastic models, getting stuff painted out, dusted off, because they brought back my old units. Hey, there's Beasts of Nurgle, they're back. I got they're calling them Seekers, the Demonettes, they're back. I don't have to wait for any supplemental list, and I can mix and match everything. I can bring a greater demon as my general and have different unaligned units. I know some people might, harken back to the old days and, oh, well, you shouldn't be able to feel. I don't know. I like playing the demons. I like being able to put them onto the table. Very colorful, literally, and figuratively too, with all their different special abilities. I think that's what attracted me to them in the first place. So there you go. As to where I'm going to go with it, I don't know that I necessarily know that previously I said that was the penultimate episode, and here we are. This should be the final episode, but I don't think it will be. I don't really want to close it off yet. I want to leave it open. I don't know if I'm going to do special characters. I don't know if I'm going to do tactics or what, but I am going to do something more. So maybe don't look for it anytime soon though, because I'm still kicking some ideas around in my head. Like maybe there'll be a Demons of Chaos Halloween special or something that I'll bring to you. I want to focus on the Lizardman stuff for now, but thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for your support and your comments. It really keeps me going.